Okay, so me and my wife are just doing a Bible study here, and we're looking at Matthew chapter 17 even, and we're on a part where it says in verse 15, and he said to him, "My Lord, have mercy on me. My son has a lunatic demon and has become ill, for he has fallen many times into fire and many times into water." Okay, so I'm reading from the Aramaic translation in modern English, and it says lunatic. Okay, now your translation may say epileptic. Now this is the problem, yeah? Is epilepsy the same as lunatic or lunacy? Well, that's what we're going to briefly look at here, and my wife has been wanting to go on a bit of a deep dive on this, so it's good. So what we do is, the King James Bible is the most accurate translation. It is not the NIV or the other modern translations. King James is translated from the original Greek. That's the case. So what I do is I use what is called the Vine's Dictionary, W-E Vine, V-I-N-E-S, Dictionary of Old and New Testament Words. And in the Vine's Dictionary, if we look up the word epileptic, okay, which some translations have got, it says it's known as lunatic. Okay, now the word lunatic has got something to do with the moon, and when you look back on the condition of lunacy, it's based on people who are affected by the full moon. Now they didn't turn into werewolves, but the full moon does trigger some mental health issues, okay, and it causes a person to have a tic and to go crazy. They're quite susceptible to it. Now, looking at translations that say it's epileptic, as we see here, it uses the word, can you go to the King James 17, chapter 17, and it was verse 15, wasn't it? Just recording. So, Matthew 17, verse 15. And then see what exact word it says in the King James. Thanks, Joe. And what word does it use?
Lunatic.
Right, it says lunatic. So in the King James it says lunatic as well, yeah? Newer translations will say epileptic. Now, that goes to show, let's just look at epilepsy in general, right? This man has got a son who's a lunatic. It says it causes him to fall into the fire and into the water. That means that this spirit, this demon in this boy, makes him try and burn himself and try and drown himself. That's suicidal, okay? That is not epilepsy. Epilepsy does not cause you to throw yourself into fire or into water. When you have an epileptic fit, seizures, as you know who have that, you fall on the floor and you have that seizure. I've had a seizure. I didn't try and find fire and throw myself into it or drown myself. So we can see here that there's a problem. This has caused a big problem actually, because we hear of many people with epilepsy go to church and immediately people without knowledge, they may mean well, okay, but they have not looked into it correctly. They have not looked into the original Greek. What I've got here is called the Textus Receptus, okay? It's a Greek it's the original Greek translation that came from the New Testament church, okay? Textus Receptus. And it tells you the original Greek words. So you've got Greek, if you can read it, classical Greek. Then it's got the literal word in English. Then it's got the King James translation down there. So what I've done is, I've gone to the W.E. Vine's Dictionary. I've gone to other modern translations, perhaps the NIV, King James translation, and found that epilepsy is not what this is describing. It's not even the Greek word for epilepsy, okay? It is lunatic. And so therefore some people brought their children, especially children, to church and said, I want you to cast this demon of epilepsy out. But epilepsy isn't mentioned, is it? It's lunacy. It's lunatic. Does that mean that people who have epilepsy might not have demons? Absolutely. And I would recommend that if your child has had a neurological assessment, and especially brain scan, and it comes up that they've got epilepsy, It's a brain condition. It's not a demon. Okay? So, right then, you need to quit trying to get your children delivered from the so-called demon of epilepsy, autism, Asperger's, and all the rest of it. If you have got a medical diagnosis, a neurological diagnosis of anything, that is not a demon. Okay? That is a medical condition. If a person has a brain scan and it's all clear and it shows no irregularities or any, neurodiversities, then okay, we can begin to look at things again. But yeah, I just found it interesting that we often read that verse and say, oh, this person had epilepsy, but then it says that the man tried to throw himself into the fire and into water. This demon was driving him to commit suicide. So get back to me, tell me what you think, and yeah, God bless you. Bye bye.